Hey guys. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how to use Westlaw, just give you some tips and tricks. I might have to do this in two separate videos just because in the program I have, I can record for free for up to 15 minutes. And so I'll see where I am as I'm going through this. And if it's going to be a bit longer than 15 minutes, I'll just split it into two, but I'll let you know as I'm moving along. Okay, so right now I'm on our homepage in Blackboard. And so if I wanted to get to our library to get to the Westlaw database, the best way that I found to do it is to just click on Legal Help Center and then click on Kaiser Library. Loading. So it's going to open this new page and it's going to bring you right to the Kaiser Library homepage. And you see this database list right here. So we're just going to click the down arrow and we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Click on Law, all right, and then just click on Go. And it should log you right in. I'm logged into Blackboard, obviously, and Office 365. So it should just log you right in. And here you are. Okay, so this is effectively the Westlaw homepage. Now, I'm going to start with if you wanted to search a case in Florida. All right. So, or for cases in Florida, let's pretend that you're working as a paralegal in a law firm and your supervisor has given you a legal issue that they want you to do some research on. And you're somewhat familiar with it. Let's pretend that for now. You're somewhat familiar with the concept. And so you want to start doing a little bit of legal research. So, if you were to log into Westlaw, you would obviously see this. And the easiest thing to do is to just click on right here, this tab that says State Materials. Click right here on Florida. And then this is kind of your home base, pretty much for everything. Whether you were searching for a case or not, this is an awesome. This is basically an awesome database, the database. So if you're working in Florida, and obviously you saw on the last page, it's all different states. So if you were in a different state, this would work too. But what's really cool about how Westlaw has set this up is that you can see here you've got cases, you've got all Florida and state federal cases. It also then narrows down all Florida state cases, Florida Supreme Court, Florida District Court of Appeals. So for example, again, hypothetically speaking, let's pretend your supervisor said, hey, the Supreme Court just came out with a new decision. This is the name of it. Can you go get it for me? You could literally do what I just did and then click on Florida Supreme Court and it'll have a list of all of the cases that this Florida Supreme Court has recently decided. You can see literally up until today, August 10th, 2020. Okay. So obviously it's not been published so far, but that's okay. It might have been just an issued decision that your boss wants to read. So you could literally find it right here. So, and you could obviously do the same exact thing for the Florida District Court of Appeals. Again, that's assuming your boss said, I'm just giving an example of, hey, this decision was just issued by whatever court. Can you go grab me a copy? That was a perfect place where you could find it. So also what it has is all Florida federal cases, so cases that are federal cases but arose in a Florida district court. They're federal jurisdiction but in Florida, and then those cases go up on appeal, and those could potentially head to the U.S. Supreme Court at some point. You also have federal district court cases. Those are, again, your trial courts for federal cases in the state of Florida. And then Florida bankruptcy courts, which are a subset of always federal law. Bankruptcy is always going to be federal law. But don't stress about that unless you're working in the bankruptcy world. So you also have here your statutes, your Florida statutes and court rules, Florida rules of civil procedure, local rules and administrative orders. You also have federal statutes here, the United States Code Annotated, and obviously your Florida federal court rules, which are basically your federal rules of civil procedure for district courts, again, just located in Florida. We've talked about regulations. You got your Florida regulations here. You've got your Code of Federal Regulations here. Florida secondary sources. You could click on that and search a variety of different secondary sources, which I'll show you toward the end of either this presentation or probably in a second one. You can also look up briefs that petitioners who have filed. These are the briefs that they file with the United States Supreme Court before arguing. There's a lot of research and law in those. And then proposed and enacted legislation at the federal level, and then proposed and adopted regulations, which are effectively proposed and adopted regulations at the federal level that just haven't been published into either the United States Code or the Federal Code of Regulations, but they are still law. They've been passed and adopted or enacted. So this is, you can see, it's kind of, you're going to know kind of what you're looking for. Your supervisor will have told you, hey, I need you to do research on something, and you're going to kind of know in the general place to look. And so let's pretend for now that we'll go back to my original factual hypothetical situation where you have a general legal issue that you want to look up that your supervisors ask you to do a little research on. And so you want to look for some cases initially. So let's, we're going to click on all Florida, state, and federal cases, okay? And you want to start with all Florida, state, and federal cases just to see if there's some, and that's important because if there are United States Supreme Court cases that relate to the issue you're looking at, you're going to want to know that because obviously the United States Supreme Court pretty much sets the law of the land. So you're going to want to know that. You can always weed them out, and I'm going to show you how to. But it's just a good place to start. It's always better to start broad. Think of it as a funnel, broad at the top, and then you narrow down as you search. So, okay, so you're in Florida state and federal cases, and so let's type in, you can just do a natural language search. Basically, type in a sentence, and the Westlaw database algorithms are so good at this point that they really pull up a lot of great stuff based on natural language searches. So that's where I would start. Don't stress. I know the textbook mentions these things called Boolean searches with like coding and same paragraph, same sentence. Don't stress about that. If you someday end up a lawyer, go to law school, you'll learn more about it. But for right now, for what you need to know and to do your job effectively as a paralegal, because Westlaw is so good, you can do your job effectively by just using a natural language search. So let's pretend that our issue was, when may police stop an individual, if I could type, stop an individual to question them. All right, let's start with that. That's, say, the broad issue that your supervisor asks you to look into. I want to know about the law on this in Florida. All right, so just type that in, hit enter, and it is going to pull up for you a whole bunch of cases. All right, so between Florida state and federal cases on this general topic or this general legal issue, we got 247. All right, that's a lot, all right? But we can narrow it down. But before we do, let's just take a quick peek here. So these cases are going to get sorted by what's called relevance, which is basically going to start with the most prominent authority. Here you can see the Supreme Court of the United States, and not only the most prominent authority, but the authority that talks most about this issue. And that makes sense because this case, Terry v. Ohio, I can tell you, is the landmark Supreme Court case that was decided back in 1968 that kind of started the rule. It's been greatly developed over time, as you can see, through our case law, but that basically started the rule of what a police officer can do to stop someone, to question them when there isn't enough to arrest someone, but the police are trying to investigate a crime. And so they stop a citizen on the street, or they stop who's walking, or they stop a car, and they want to talk to someone. Okay, what are someone's rights in that situation? So let's just scroll down here. You see Terry v. Ohio, Supreme Court of the United States. Florida v. Royer is also a decision by the Supreme Court of the United States. You can see a couple more. I'm just going to scroll down. These are all Supreme Court of the United States decisions. And you can see, actually, I should say, as I scroll, you can see the words that I typed in the search are highlighted in yellow. And these are good summaries, and you can start to scan them and see if these cases are kind of on point to what you're looking for. You can keep scrolling. United States Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, District Court of Appeal of Florida. Here we go. Here's a Florida specific case, Kirk v. State, Popple v. State, Supreme Court of Florida. Okay, so we're looking like we got some stuff here, all right? But let's be serious. You're not going to read through, let's go back to the top here, 247 cases, right? So the good news is that usually what happens is that your Florida cases are since 1968 are probably going to reference Terry v. Ohio and some of these other Supreme Court cases, right? So let's narrow it down a bit. Let's click on just Florida. It's loading. Okay, so that's narrowed it down to Florida. Let's say we're working at a criminal defense firm. So I'm just going to click on, we want criminal cases because we want similar cases, right? So I'm going to click on criminal, and that's again going to narrow it down more. So now we're at 82 cases, and let's pretend for a second that the facts of our case are that the individual was in a car. He wasn't she wasn't walking down the street. They happened to be in a motor vehicle, okay? So let's type in narrow within search results. Let's type automobile, okay? So we're gonna hit search. So that's narrowed it down to 25 cases. That's pretty manageable, right? And so what you can do, and you can see here, is that you've got a bunch of cases here, and it's not only highlighted the original words of your search that are up here in yellow, but now you see this more narrowed down word is highlighted in purple. All right, so let's take a look here. The first case, again, sorted by relevance, Supreme Court of Florida. That's clearly, talks about at least something we're looking for here. So you can click on it. It's going to bring you right to the case. And then you can see here, so to talk about a little bit about citation. So you guys will see, we're going to go over tomorrow in class how to cite. And there's a lot of information on that. I've really tried to pare it down for you, believe it or not. But just know that, so obviously Ted J. Popple, right? That's his name, but Westlaw does a really nice job of highlighting, of putting in capital letters the name of the case. So Popple v. State is going to be the name of the case. This is your citation here. 626 is the volume. S2D is the Southern Reporter Second. 185 is the page of the volume that this case starts on. And again, we'll talk more about this tomorrow when we go through how to cite, but you should do the reading. I know some of this is monotonous and seems tedious, but it is really important, I promise. And then this case was decided in 1993, okay? So if you scroll down here, you can see that it gives you a nice little synopsis of, Westlaw gives you a nice little synopsis of basically what happened with the case, a little procedural history, a little bit of facts, and ultimately what the court holds. You can see what they held there. I'm going to go scroll down a little bit. I'm going to skip these West headnotes for a moment and come back to that. But for now, since I'm running out of time in my 15 minutes, I'm obviously going to make probably a few more of these for you guys. I just want to show you the opinion at this point, and then I'll start a new recording. But you can see the opinion starts here, right? Here's the opinion, the justice who wrote the opinion. This is what they're effectively looking at. Here are your facts of the case. And you can scroll down and see basically what the case starts to talk about. And remember, I mentioned that these Florida cases are probably going to reference the, Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court cases that pretty much set the precedent for this. And look, there you go. There's Terry v. Ohio right there. And there's a link right to that case. If you wanted to click on it, you could, and this link would bring you right to the Terry v. Ohio case if you wanted to read it. You just, keep scrolling down here. Another case that we found that was on our list earlier, remember we saw Florida v. Royer. Again, another United States Supreme Court case cited by this one. You can see how precedent gets incorporated into future cases. So basically, you could skim this case, you could read it, you can see basically what happens, what the court is analyzing, and then ultimately they came to a conclusion. Therefore, we hold the Fourth Amendment that this defendant didn't consent to the exiting of his vehicle, was seized, and effectively they rule that this individual's Fourth Amendment rights were violated when the police directed he step out of the vehicle because he was effectively seized at that point and they didn't have a reasonable and articulable suspicion to do that. Now, don't stress, you don't have to learn criminal law here, but just know that this was their holding. And then down here, there are two dissenting opinions by the by 2 additional justices, but ultimately the main opinion of the majority of the court wins. All right, so I'm going to stop this recording since I've only got about 10 seconds left, and I'm going to pick up the next recording right after, okay? And I'm going to start right here, okay?